Recording is on.
There we go. Hello. Okay. All right. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you. Is it Project Center first?
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you the version of ScoreMaker that I have on the Linux machine. Let me see. Can you guys see?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So the changes I made here are these. You may notice. I don't know if you can see this, but this is actually the ScoreMaker source. And it now can recognize subdirectories because before Project Center couldn't. So now the issue, the issue was is that it was always expecting everything to be in certain directories, like or the parent directory always, like literally always. And I made it so that you could add files in subdirectories so that basically, it would be easier to have projects that had an arbitrary structure that were still, managed by Project Center. So one thing I did was I added a ruler here on the side that gives us characters from top to bottom. As you scroll, of course, it's going to scroll. And a ruler here on the top that shows characters from, of course, horizontally. I made changes to fix the indentation. Like for instance, if you're inside of a curly brace, it's going to indent by one, by one level. And of course, it will always highlight any kind of curly braces or any kind of parentheses and stuff like that. Right. So one other thing that I did is of course if you do like in Emacs, if you select a region and hit Tab, it's going to go in. If you hit backwards, it's going to go out. And of course you can select something and delete it. These oddly were freezing the editor before, like that. You see, and of course now undo, has always worked, but still. But yeah, so I know these might, and also I added, this bit right here where it basically shows the number of characters down
So,
and to the end indented. So these are minor changes, but they're usability changes, which means that it makes it a lot easier to use and a lot less annoying because it doesn't crash as much. But the major change that I made was, I'm sorry, was somebody going to ask a question? I thought I heard somebody say something.
no, didn't ask a question.
Okay. The major change that I made was hold on. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Yes, I want to clean. Yeah, let me reload this because I think I made a change that caused a problem in the code. Close anyway. Why is it doing that? All right, I'm going to try a different project here because okay, yeah, apparently that's an issue with Project Center where because I had made that change, I think obviously this is why it's called unreleased software. So what I changed here is the debugger because the debugger had issues with the machine interface because it was I mean, I know the colors here are not too friendly, but you know, one of the things that I added with respect to debugging was the ability to set breakpoints. Like for instance, you can just go over here to the gutter here, like right here, and say, and click, and you get a little red dot, right? And when I hit go, give it a second. Of course, see now it stopped. And one of the things that was also happening is some of these were not responding properly because it turns out we were sending a deprecated version of the commands because the version of GDB we were working with on certain systems. I'll leave it up to the reader whose systems those were. That they were not necessarily up to date. So I changed that so that it is now. So that now when we do this, of course, now it
That's
advances
nice.
properly. Huh?
That's nice.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. Um, but yeah, so basically, I made a lot of stability changes. I tried to tighten things up a bit with Project Center, so that so it's more attractive. Actually, now I want to use it, and that's like, so I'm going to start fixing things as I find them, more and more. Um, and let me see. One of the other things I changed, not in Project Center, but in say in Gorm, and these are actually truly like bug fixes here. Like for instance, before there was an issue, long-standing bug, where you couldn't do this. You could not click on something and get like and select the table column. You couldn't do that. And that was because of a bug in Gorm document where it wasn't recursing down the hierarchy of the what is it of the objects correctly. I had missed something, so I figured out what I was missing and added a couple of things. Temporarily created a bug where it was getting an infinite regression or an infinite recursion, but I fixed that. Um, so I mean, now we can connect, we can, and stuff like that. And now there's no longer bugs dealing with stuff. Now, I mean, you could do it if the table view was outside of a containing view, but you couldn't do if it was inside of a subview, which is weird. It had something to do with the Gorm view with subviews editor. Yes, that's the name of the class, unfortunately. And so that was where part of the problem was. The other problem was in the Gorm document. So also one neat thing I added was, and this is something that I always have wanted to do, is, do I have it here? Is it here? No, it's not. Damn it. Damn it all. Okay, I'll show you this one later. But I added a bit to export to code. So that basically what it does is I'll show you the code that it generated. I mean, I think this is because I had merged to the main branch and maybe something was lost here. But I'll go ahead and and fix that in a little bit and show you that to you. But let me see. Yeah, what I did is the code actually inherits the name of the Gorm the document that it came from, and this was I just dumped Gorm's what do you call it, Gorm's menu out to code, and this is all generated by Gorm. I added a class that basically will recurse down through the object structure, the object tree, and will emit code for each and every one of the objects. I mean, now obviously it's not always going to be all menu items, but of course, this is Gorm's menu, so it's going to be a lot of menu items for this particular one. But yeah, so it tries to initialize everything, and What I am going to do or add in the future is a method that will basically allow you to say, load something named, and then what it's going to do is it's going to look for a particular pattern, you know, of like a method or a function name or something like that, and it's going to execute like a pre-formulated method name um, to load the objects so that it acts like it's loading a file, but it's really not. You know what I'm saying? So the syntax doesn't change very much, but you're now loading code. You're now loading something from code rather than from a nib or a zib or whatever. Now, I mean, this is kind of a middle ground between what we said we were going to do with respect to the XML format um, pro bono for now, because I feel like this is something that can be maintained and merged, but obviously I can't load code. I can't, unless I build a parser, that can, handle or build a abstract syntax tree and then convert that somehow into the object graph. It would be almost impossible, but
I
this
see.
is
So
part of it.
the way I think about this is that we should treat GORM files as the source.
Mm-hmm.
No, the other way around. The text representation, whatever the text representation is, we should treat as the source,
Mm-hmm.
which gets compiled as part of the compile process into binaries for faster loading and all of that good stuff. But the source of truth, in my opinion, should be the text representation, not the other way around.
Oh
Do you
no, I
see what I
agree.
mean?
I agree. One thing we can do that right now. I mean, but we don't, but we can. Right now we're using the zip files directly. And one thing that Gorm tool has right now, it has the ability to convert between different formats. And one of the things it can do is it can load up a zib and emit it as a nib file. And the nib tool or the IB tool rather, on the Mac, when it compiles zibs into a binary format, that's really actually all it's doing. It's basically creating a binary keyed nib file. So it would be faster. And also it would, I mean, for us, it would be faster as well for two reasons. Number one, it's a binary format. And number two, it would be using the version of our code that is built into each one of the classes rather than going through the GS zib 5 um, you know uh, keyed archiver and the zib keyed archiver is basically just a big XSLT transform in code. You know what I mean? So it's not using XSLT, but it is a big transform because all it's doing is mapping zib format to our actual format. So it's not really it's not really truly acting like an archiver. You see what I mean? So you're right. We can do that, but we can do that. We just haven't implemented it yet. But as far as like creating an XML format that we control, I've been putting a lot of thought into that. So I'm not sure how that's going to work at the moment, but I've got some ideas. But let me show you guys one other thing before two other things actually before
Before
we.
we move to the next topic, I have a question that I think fits here. I did a little bit of archaeology
Mhm.
research, trying to, when I was thinking about how to represent this as a text format, and I found something called, what was it called? Gmodel files that were a
Mhm.
thing that were kind of p lists,
Mhm.
a p-list representation, but it was removed a couple of years ago for not being working correctly. Could you
There's a
give a
reason
bit
for that.
of information there? How much was it broken? Could it be resurrected? Is it something that we could work on, or is it fundamentally flawed as an approach?
Well, it's fundamentally flawed for one reason I'll explain. It's actually fundamentally flawed and broken. The reason it's fundamentally flawed is the fact that Do you remember what I said about like XML nib files? How it's okay. The way XML nib files are structured, it's a big table where it says object 37, go to this position in the file, and to get this particular thing, or go to that position in the file to get that particular thing, and so on. It's XML, but it's referential and not it doesn't. Whereas, like for instance, like if you have a window that has a a content view in an XML nib file, it's going to say your content view is object number 51. That's what it's going to say. It's going to have a key and then a number, and then you'll go to that number, and inside of that particular object, you'll have keys and other numbers and so on. And so that gets real complicated real fast, because then you have objects that are contained within objects and stuff like that, and you have to chase it all down by referring to numbers. Now, I mean, that's okay, and I've dealt with those kind of nibs before, but they're really, really not solving the problem, because you can't look at that and really know what you're dealing with. And plus because of the fact that it has these things in different positions, it becomes difficult to merge manually, because of the fact that sometimes it jumbles things up by the nature of the dictionaries that it's dealing with. The dictionaries are unordered by definition, so when you save it, it's going to shift things around, and that's part of the problem. Is that so? And honestly, and the reason why I'm mentioning nib files here is because Gmodels, even though Gmodels were thought up like 8 to 10 years before nib files, or XML nib files, this is why I say that sometimes I think Apple is cribbing off of us, because of the fact that when you look at the nib file in the plist format and you look at the Gmodel in plist format, they look fundamentally the same. Because what you have in the zip file inside the nib file is you have positions, but in the Gmodel file you have keys that say object 1, object 2, object 3. It's fundamentally the same thing. So that's the fundamental flaw. The bug is that there are is that the Gmodel format doesn't currently cover all of the objects that we have. All of the different classes, we'd have to add keys that are missing on existing classes, and then we'd have to add missing classes to the Gmodel implementation in order to allow them to be encoded. And what I've been trying to do is solve the problem in a way that's more elegant, that doesn't require us to do something like zip files, or with the zip keyed archiver, because I'm convinced that there's a way that we can make it so that it is containerized, where, like, for instance, you have views within the window that they are. In other words, you would have an open element window, and then you'd have an open element content view, and then any other views underneath that, and so on, and then their respective close elements. You see what I'm saying? That way it's not referential, but it's containerized. It
Kind of
contains.
like HTML, right? Where you also don't have numbered elements, but you see how things are nested.
Yeah, exactly. That's precisely the point. So, yeah, I mean, I've been trying to think about ways to do that. In fact, one of the things that I had thought about a long time ago was, when I was thinking about how to load zip files, was to do it that way. And I didn't do the zip loading stuff. Somebody who worked for Keysight did that. His name is Marcion. He did a great job, but he did it in a way that I personally would never have done it. So my approach for our format, for our XML format, is going to be fundamentally different. And in fact, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it so that we will be able to simply do almost exactly what the zip file stuff is doing right now, except in a more transparent way where basically the zip creation in Gorm is what I'm talking about. Because what the zip creation in Gorm does is it will recurse through the object tree and then create the model, but it does it right now by making changes that allow it to be interpreted as a nib file. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that when it emits it, it's going to do it so that it doesn't require any of that translation. So it'll be more or less the same procedure as of recursively going down the tree, but it'll name things just in a way that's more natural, that doesn't have to be compatible with Apple's format, if you know what I mean. And to do the reverse, I'm going to add something that will load our format in a similar way in GUI, so that it solves the problem both ways around. You see what I'm saying? And it won't require us to go through every object in our library, in our framework, and add methods to do it. We won't have to have something in it with coder and encode with coder where it says, do you handle this format? It should just work. You know what I mean? So that's what I've been thinking about. And work has been kind of heavy lately. And I've been allowing myself, quite honestly, to be distracted by a couple of things that you'll see in a second. This was one of them, the Project Center stuff.
Cool. I really, really appreciate that you are putting so much thought into this. I think this will really be extremely helpful. And I tried to play also around a bit with coming up with something, but I have to admit I don't understand enough of the inner workings to make it work. So I really, really appreciate that you're thinking about these things.
Oh, no problem. I mean, and not to toot my own horn, I've done this 3 times. So I did it with Gmodel, I did it with nib, I did it with Gorm, and I've added significant stuff to the zip file format. So 3.5 times. So yeah, no, I mean, I've just been like the code, in fact, that does the model, the loading, Gorm, GS Gorm loading and GS Gorm loading factory. That's my stuff, because what it does is it basically looks at all the model formats. And when you load a model, what it does is it says, can any one of these readers or any one of these loaders read it? And it determines, it has a method that's called can read data. And whichever one says yes first is the one that gets to read it. So it's basically is a factory that will create the appropriate model loader based on the kind of model you're using. And what I'm going to do is just extend that and have it load our format. And so yeah, I've been expending thought on it a lot.
So allow me one last question. Do you envision that in the new scheme we will compile the XML format to a binary format still, or do you intend to have that loaded directly at execution time?
Well, I had been thinking about that. I mean, because I guess Gorm and Gorm tool are tied obviously very closely together. And if I add something to Gorm that allows it to load our native format and save our native format, my philosophy has been to always allow interchange between all of the different formats. So by definition, if you can load it into the Gorm object tree, then you should be able to emit it as a nib file. So I think, yes, I think it'll be easy to emit it as a binary format. We can either emit it as a nib file or actually just compile it into Gorm files. I mean, because Gorm files, are binary. They're just basically streamed, binary formats. So it'd be
in the end, I think there should be some performance testing, and then it should be decided whether it is beneficial to compile it beforehand to binary, and if that is beneficial, then do that.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But yeah, it's in fact, I'm gonna I'm glad that the menu item that I added for this isn't included in the in the master, because it's not ready. This is not ready for release yet, and we're talking about doing a release. So I'm going to leave the code there for now, and and just work on it. And if it's ready by the time we do a release, then I'll include it. But if it's not, then I probably won't to emit the code. One thing I'm concerned about is sometimes people use the features that you hate the most, and and it's like, I envision this almost as somebody going, "Oh yeah, now we can emit code. I'll just use that and just keep on using it, and then it'll become a bane to me," which kind of worries me. But yeah, I mean, I think it should be okay.
I really appreciate your work on this. Truth be told, so far I have been avoiding using Gorm because every time I played around with it, I forget to do a connection or something, and then it's extremely hard to debug this. You can't see diffs and so on. So right now I'm coding everything instead, and having a text representation will make this so much more transparent and diffable. It is maybe a bit a dry topic because it's not shiny and a nice feature to show, but I think it's really, really valuable.
Oh yeah, no, and I understand completely. What do you think it was like working on Gorm? I mean, it was exciting at the time, and it still is to some degree. But yeah, I mean, I mean, I won't bore you with the details, but I always have I mean, you may have heard me give this analogy once before, and I know Lars has heard this analogy, and that is that figuring out how nib files were encoded, since it's a black box, was more or less like having a stopwatch, or it's not a stopwatch, but a pocket watch or a watch, basically. And the only tool that you have to figure out what's wrong with that watch or figure out how it works is a sledgehammer.
Wow.
So, I mean, so if there are any bugs in the nib loading stuff, forgive me, because that's really how hard it was. Because it was like, I mean, it was just change this, figure out where it changes, what it changes in the binary file. Change this, figure out what it changes, and just do that for every attribute. And it was horrifying,
I can imagine that.
tedious.
Wow.
But ultimately worth it. But still, I mean, it was just like, wow. But yeah. But yes, I think we can compile it into a binary. And you're right, testing is absolutely essential for figuring out which is faster. So, that'll definitely help. What was I going to do? Oh yes, I was going to show you. Okay.
May I ask too?
Huh?
May I ask a question too?
Sure.
How are the chances that we get a converter from nib to Gorm and vice versa?
100%, because we already have it.
Can I take Gorm files from a GNUstep project and translate them to a nib with trans on OS?
Yes. With what? With the tools on GNUstep? In GNUstep, yeah, you can use the Gorm tool.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I wrote Gorm tool.
I have to figure that out.
Okay. I mean, you can also use Gorm itself. You can just load it as a Gorm and save it as a nib. I mean, some nib, and as I just told Pro Bono, I mean, some nib conversions may not work perfectly because of the fact that, they're binary, they're not under our control, and sometimes Apple does things in a funky way. In fact, one of the things that I found, Pro Bono, during my tests was that there's at least 2 or 3 places where Apple misspelled certain keys.
Wow.
And they left it the way it was because they did a release.
Sure, they can't change it anymore, right?
Yeah, and then they had to make sure, hey, this is going to work with our old version, so now we have to change it to the new version of the key. So, yeah, There's shit like that, and there's stuff like that that I probably haven't discovered or will never discover. So that's one of the wrinkles, Lars. So you have to remember that it may not always 100% work. It's going to be about 90% there.
Because I'm trying to get GWorkspace to compile on macOS, and I succeeded so far that it works on 10.5, very ancient version of macOS X still then.
Mm-hmm.
But the nib files aren't converted, or the GROM files or whatever it is in GWorkspace.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, you'll never be able to load GROM files on Mac. But yeah, if you convert them, they might work. So I mean, just I guess figure out which ones are broken and tell me.
Okay.
Yeah, let me see. All right. Okay, so I was going to show you this next. Let's see. Oh boy. All right. Yeah, one thing. I'm wondering if this is actually going to work now because of the fact that I had to kill it earlier. Now you very likely will not be able to hear this, but it is playing. But you know, you'll notice a couple of visual changes as well. I mean, one thing is, of course, the keyboard. The other thing is this. Can you hear it at all? Okay, let me get you closer.
Very, very silently.
Okay. Did you hear that? Guys?
A bit.
Okay. It's weird that you didn't, because I had the mic right up to it. But yeah, you may notice the playhead, the little blue thing, as well as the notes highlighting, and as well as like but yeah, so this is all running on GNUstep, obviously, and I'm using audio, the AV Foundation that I wrote. And as I was telling Lars when you were away pro bono for some reason or other, one thing that it does very well is it plays, of course. But when you try to stop it mid, whatever, it crashes. It basically goes into a loop and refuses to stop. And I don't know what's going on there. But no, I don't have to kill it now. I can just quit. But let me show you the other version of it running on Mac, because it's much more impressive. Let me see. And these are things that I'm going to port to GNUstep. Of course, one of the strengths of writing something that uses a new framework that you haven't ever used before and building a clone of the framework is the fact that you get to actually test it. Writing explicit text tests only takes you so far, but if you have an actual application that's using it, sometimes it helps to ferret out things that are not quite so obvious. 1 second. Boy, let's see. Forgot where I was. Give me a second. Stop sharing here. Okay. Yeah, normally I wouldn't demonstrate stuff that just is Mac, but since this is also a GNUstep program, one thing you're going to notice about ScoreMaker right now, it doesn't bring up a default window anymore. Because I think that's annoying, because every time I bring it up, I have to change it. And it is rather annoying. So let's see. So I'm going to bring up, this is the same one that I showed you guys once before, where it's BVW 1041. This is concerto in A minor. 1 second. So what you're going to see, one thing is here, like for instance,
So just so that I understand that correctly, what we are seeing here is now a native macOS app where no GNUstep is involved. Is that right?
Yes, but like I said, the reason I'm showing this to you is because all of this stuff, anything that this can do, I'm going to make sure works on GNUstep.
I understand that. So my question is it an objective of the project to have GNUstep also work on the Mac eventually so that this works for all GNUstep source code without special consideration of being macOS compatible, or is that not a project or goal?
That's a really good question. I actually have done some work on getting GNUstep to build on a Mac. If that's one of the things you're asking about, and I think that's extremely useful because of the fact that it would be obviously very good to be able to bring up like GNUstep applications on the Mac without actually having to, you know, do that. But I mean, one thing that I'm trying to do with this particularly is I'm trying to make it so that anything I build on the Mac, I can also build on GNUstep without, and basically what it does is it strengthens GNUstep so that our frameworks are more complete.
Yeah, I
Um,
understand.
but yeah, I mean, but I am trying to get it to build on Mac, and I've had some limited success. I've been able to get base work building and GUI building, but I have yet to get back working properly because of the fact that, we need, of course, Cairo and various other stuff, and I have to link with the X libraries, which I think has some caveats on the Mac, but I'm not sure. But I haven't been able to do that yet. But it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, a colleague I said it working at for the moment, but
Oh,
I
he did.
don't know how I did it because I never got it working on my machine.
Well, and this is one of my pet peeves. I really wish if people did something. It's kind of like okay, I don't know if you guys saw a long time ago, somebody released a set of patches for WebKit so that you could build WebKit on GNUstep, and then suddenly it just didn't work really well anymore, or now it's not. Now some of those patches are gone, and some of the changes that were requested to go into GNUstep never were applied and stuff like that. And I really wish that people would, if you're gonna make changes, then be more adamant about getting them incorporated, or don't just leave us a patch and then not tell us what version of the code that's attached to. Because in the WebKit like patch, and I can find it, it doesn't tell you which version of the Git repository or which hash or which even release version to apply the patch against. It just says, here's the patches, go have at it, basically. And it's like, don't do that. If you're going to make a patch, make it clear where it's attached to, what it's supposed to, which version of the code it's supposed to attach to, or supposed to patch. And then, and what I would do is write a freaking build script that's going to download the version of the code that you need and apply the patches for you. Make it one step. Don't make it tons of steps and then people get lost in the sauce. You know what I'm saying? That's annoying. Um, and and so to answer, I mean, let's see. Yeah, so I mean, to answer your question, Lars, yeah, I mean, I understand that he did that, and it would have been nice to have had that solution a long time ago with respect to like the back end and stuff like that. So I don't think it's, and this is not a dig against anybody. If somebody came up with something a long time ago that can do it, all that proves is that it's doable. What it doesn't do is help us do it. Because if they either didn't document it, or they lost the ability to make it happen, or the code has changed so much since then that now it can't be done, then it's pointless.
Yeah, it's
Huh?
true.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry if I sound frustrated. It's not at you. It's just because this happens over and over and over again, and you know, it's irritating. 'Cause,
One
yeah.
issue I remember it had was
Uh-huh.
tried to load Apple classes instead of GNUstep classes at some point
Yeah.
because now through third-party frameworks, the Apple runtime was linked in, and that pulled in all the Apple stuff, and suddenly the GNUstep stuff didn't work anymore. It was a difficulty, I remember. But that guy, I don't know if it was Quentin or what's the other one?
Are you talking about?
Quentin Matte
No,
and
no.
Nicolas Ford.
No, are you talking about the version, the code that, oh God, I can't even remember what it was called.
Actually,
No. You're talking about the thing that would load Mac binaries on GNUstep and run it.
no, not that one. That was something different. That what you're talking about now is. Let me think about it.
Well, he actually started using Cocotron, and now Cocotron is dead.
That was not Cocotron, no.
No, I'm not. Lars, I'm talking about the layer that exists that allows you to run Mac applications
Yeah, I know what
on
you're talking
Linux.
about, but I
Okay.
forgot the name of it.
Yeah, me
Darbot?
too.
Darbot, no, Darbot, it's L4 for Darwin. It was. Maybe I can Google it.
Oh God. Now I've got to know.
Darling.
Yeah, Darling, that's right.
Google found it.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, he started using Cocotron, and now that Cocotron is dead, that's kind of pointless. I don't know why he did that, but oh well.
So what we are doing in the Gershwin project is, originally we started out forking everything and then doing our patches everywhere, but we stopped doing that. And instead now we just collect a collection of patches, which we all upstream. And I hope that is a useful way of working, because we would really like to not diverge in the core libraries and commit everything back that we are changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to do it, and that's the way I've always told people to do it, asked people to do it. Because when, for instance, when Test Plan and Keysight didn't do it, they ended up with 11 years of technical debt.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Are they doing it now? Are they doing it now?
Yeah, they are. I worked for them for 3 years to make sure that they did.
Okay. Yeah, that's laudable, pro bono, what you're doing.
Trying. But yeah, hold on. I mean, okay, just to finish up what I was doing with ScoreMaker is I basically just added a synthesizer and effects. And one of the things you didn't see in the previous thing is that, and this actually also works on GNUstep, is that when you play a song with multiple voices, that, oh, hold on, this is a panel. Yeah, you get different colors. You see, the different voices have different colors, and they're colorized on the piano keyboard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and this is actually not just a display. If you bring up a new document, this then becomes a thing that you can hit the buttons on, and it'll play it, and it'll give you a little, a sample of what the note is going to sound like. And I've started the work on actually integrating with Core MIDI, so that you can have an actual MIDI keyboard controller, or just a MIDI keyboard, and have either this application control the sound on the MIDI keyboard, or take MIDI input from the keyboard and input it as your
Very
thing.
cool.
So it's actually becoming a sort of like a hobbyist level, workstation, sort of. Guess it's good that I have sort of a background in music to, to back it up. So yeah, I mean, not
This
a serious one, just,
really promising.
huh?
This is really, really promising. The start of a GNU garage.
Yeah, I was considering renaming it to something, but yeah. but I think ScoreMaker is actually, because ScoreMaker kind of calls back to the Music Kit origins that it has. Because I mean, this song actually comes from Music Kit. It's open, it's like a open. Obviously, you can't copyright Bach anymore since it's several hundred years old. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, I mean, so I'll. Did we lose? Oh yeah, we lost Buzzy. I didn't even know who he was. No offense, Buzzy, if you hear this, um, but yeah, let me see. Oh, he's back. Yay! Hey, Buzzy, welcome back. But yeah, yeah. I mean, so let's see. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much. I mean, I did like, for instance, to the couple of the other applications that
Right,
I've
just an
done.
idea before we move on. Have you thought about integrating VST3 compatibility so that you could load your own instruments and effects?
Actually, I did start to look into that. One of the things that I was surprised to learn about Core MIDI is that it actually has facilities so that if a vendor of a particular like set of sound modules for your Mac has like a plugin that conforms to the standard that you just mentioned. Oh, what is it? BuzzD asks, "Can you hear me?" And no, we can't. Um, but yeah. So yeah, one of the things that I had looked into doing is um, is integrating that, and then actually you can see it here, sort of um, on the score menu. I have show audio unit editor, and that will bring up. I mean, it says no audio unit is loaded. I mean, and that's the way Mac OS deals with like plugins from vendors. And I haven't implemented this fully now, but I have been looking into it. And
It's
one of the things,
about,
huh?
but not Cubase, but Logic does, or
Huh?
audio units is Logic stuff.
Audio unit is the Mac version of what on Linux and Windows is most often VST3, so a format
Yeah.
for instruments and effects.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Logic is the editor on the Mac.
Well,
Right.
hold on. I'll show you yeah. Here's an example. We're kind of getting off topic here, but um, let me see. Show all windows. Oop, where is it? Here we go. Sign in. Sign in. Yeah, I used to be really big into synthesizers and stuff like that. I loved playing music. Here's an example, right? I don't know if you can still see my screen here. Yeah, you can. Like this is okay, what this is from Roland. And what this does is these are all like different things that you can download for different versions. Like they even have emulators for like different, versions of their classic synthesizers. Um, and some of these will download and load in as an audio unit. Um, and like for instance, there's a Roland Jupiter 80 or Jupiter 8 audio unit. I don't know where it is here, but like for instance, it will allow you to like, yeah, here it is Juno 60 and stuff like that. These are classic synths, like from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and stuff like that. And what this does is it emulates. Of course, it's $200, but yeah, of course, it like emulates these classic synths, and these act as sound modules or audio units, so that you can plug them in to different like software. Like that's what I'm trying to make work here.
Do you plan to support audio unit as a format in GNUstep as well?
And yes, and that's one of the challenges that I'm thinking about. For instance, like I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that in how what is the equivalent library to load audio units like this on Linux? You see what I'm saying? BuzzD, do you hear me? Okay, hold on. BuzzD. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought he was asking a question, but no, that was you. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I'm working on with respect to
Linux or Windows.
Huh?
So that's why I think VST3 would be the way for these operating systems.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also looked into the plugins that you mentioned for our AV foundation, and I haven't made much progress on that. But as you can hear, I've been working on lots of other stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's like yeah, and I was going to say, full disclosure, pro bono, since there's been so much fervor over AI recently, yes, some of this was coded with AI, particularly and if you're into music, you'll understand what I mean by this next term, the engraver, the music layout. So, because I had to implement collision avoidance and various other stuff so that notes weren't all jumbled up and so that measures got stretched
Hello.
out and such. Yeah. So,
Right.
Hello.
yeah. Oh, hey.
Hello, we can hear you now.
Ah, oh, nice. I figured it out.
Hey. Nice to hear your voice, BuzzD.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also happy to be able to speak up. Awesome.
Did the trick work to select the correct audio device on the login screen?
No, then I suddenly saw that my operating system muted my
Oh.
microphone for whatever reason. So I only had to find the unmute button here. Yeah. What? So if just a question here to the score application.
Sure.
If I would want to build it on OpenBSD, what is the sound library driver or something used in the back?
Right now it's using FluidSynth.
Okay, that should work.
Yeah, and yeah, it depends on. But I haven't tested it on OpenBSD. So if you find any bugs, please let me know. It's on GitHub.
Yeah, I just saw it. Found it interesting. I didn't know about this. So I was using in the past here MuseScore a bit. So for just playing, learning here along, etc. But since MuseScore here is version 4 or 5, or I don't know what the reason is, they completely messed up with how they distribute the source, or just binaries kind of. It's a mess. So just looking here at this score maker, that looks quite promising and definitely something I'm going to try out.
Oh yeah, I would. Okay, I mean, right now it's very experimental. I am an amateur musician myself. I love playing keyboard. Haven't gotten to do it a lot recently.
Yeah, I mean, if maybe even with FluidSynth and here, I might even be able to connect my MIDI keyboard to it and use it as an input.
Yeah, I mean, I've added that capability, but I haven't tested it yet. So obviously, if there's a problem, please let me know.
Well, I can give it a shot.
Yeah, please give it a try. Definitely, without a doubt.
Awesome.
But yeah, let me see. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I've been working on over the last several weeks. I mean, the other things that I changed were, I've been a couple of the demos that I wrote pro bono. I think I showed them to you, the breakout and then the billiards. I added sounds and a little bit of color to it, and that's about it. So it's not much to show, and it's nothing that you can't just download and play with yourself. So yeah, I guess for me that's it. I'm still working on the stuff that we discussed.
Wow, this is really impressive. Thank you for the update.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Let me see. So I was going to give Lars a hard time and say, Lars, so what are you working on? You're working on that huge application. What are you bring it up and show us? I'm kidding.
No, not really. I was working on getting GWorkspace compiled on ancient version of macOS, but last week I was busy too busy to continue.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Pro bono, do you have anything to show?
Yeah, indeed. Let's see. I hope this works with sharing.
We can see your screen.
That is great. Okay, so I have to look at the notes because it's quite a bit that happened during the month. It was a busy month. Unfortunately, Joe can't be here today for private reasons, but he was also very active on NextBSD, which is really progressing nicely. And also on the Gershwin side of things, a lot of stuff happened. So, as mentioned before, we are trying to be very transparent about what we are patching in the libraries. So here you can see an overview of the active or already merged patches. Thank you very much for having merged at least 2 that have already been merged. There is some discussion on some further ones ongoing, and at least one of the issues was solved by DTW Thalion. I know we had a discussion about his or her contributions last time, but at least in this case, I can really say this was extremely a helpful contribution here. That really helps a lot. I have a couple of points I would like to discuss. One is, I think we discussed last time, making standalone application bundles that can run on any Linux distribution and even FreeBSD with the Linux emulator by making app images that bundle everything. There has been created a pull request that was already merged to create app images, which is fantastic. However, this pull request doesn't really solve the issue that the created app can run on any Linux distribution, only on newer or the same Linux distribution. So in order to make something where you can take a software, compile it on a new Linux distribution, and then run it on an older distribution, you need to bundle everything, including every library down to the standard library and even the loader. And that is an approach that I have been experimenting with. Obviously, this has pros and cons, because if you do that and bundle everything, then it becomes a larger bundle, obviously. But that's the trade-off. So there is now a tool called make_app_image, which can take an existing app bundle and essentially deploys every dependency library into the app bundle, and then deploys this as an app image file, so that the result is one file that contains both the application and a subset of GNUstep inside one single file. So if you want to play around with that, I will put in the link here into the chat. And also I have created some examples. That I hope I find this now quickly. Yeah, right here. These are some examples. And again, that is not optimized yet for size. So it is totally possible to optimize the size by reducing the amount of GNUstep we ship to a subset. But I haven't started that work yet. So The size is right now rather large because essentially the whole GNU step gets shipped, even though the application might only need a subset of it. I will also put in the link here into the chat. That is a temporary link, so just for you to play around if you want to try out this really quickly. I have packaged 2 applications from Gershwin, namely our menu and our workspace. And yeah, if you would like to try this out, I tried it on, I created it on a very new Linux distribution, then transferred it over to an old one, couple of years old one. And at least in that test, it worked for me. What I was thinking about while doing that is theming. I think we should standardize on a default theme if we want to recommend to application developers to ship a subset of GNUstep for Linux distributions. I think it's a bit surprising for users if then the scroll bar is on the left side and everything looks like next with the vertical menu and stuff. So I don't know whether there is or you have in mind a theme already that is a bit more in line with what people know from the Mac, Windows, KDE, and GNOME, where you have certain conventions like scroll bars on the right, menus are horizontal and stuff like that.
We have already theming for several things of that.
Yeah, I mean, but what Pro Bono is talking about is a theme that we ship with rather than because what's going on right now is I'm sorry, not Gorm. GNUstep does not have a default theme that it ships with that is bundled with it with many different versions of Linux and BSD. So what happens is that they get our default theme, which of course is the next theme. And the issue, at this point is that like a lot of the existing look is built into the library. It could, I mean, actually what we did was we basically centralized it in a number of different classes. I think one is called GS theme menu, GS theme, like, oh God, controls, GS theme, something or other. Basically, it's like a category, a set of categories that holds every single version, different like like category of of things that you would draw in the GNUstep, like in the GUI. And the way we accomplish the themes is that there's 2 different types of themes. One is code driven and the other one is image driven. And most of the current themes are image driven. And of course, the Windows theme is code driven, and so is the GTK theme. And I think one of the themes that oh God, your friend who works on Gershwin, Joe, that Joe worked on is also code based. But what I believe you're referring to, Pro Bono, is the idea that we should have a theme that overrides our default theme, that makes it more attractive to the user. And you're right. We really do need to do that. I mean, because basically what's happening is that people look at our project and they think we're a museum project. They think we're basically implementing next step, and I've heard that so many times. It's wild. So I really think that that's something that we need to have a discussion about on the list. I can certainly push very hard for it, and I will. But there's going to be pushback from certain elements. So yeah, I mean, but it's got to happen. Let's put it like that. It's got to happen because I really think that the future of the GNU is the look that you guys have. Is that Gershwin has, is basically, should very likely be the default look for GNU going forward. I mean, because the fact that I don't see any reason why we shouldn't adopt a Mac-like, theme. I really don't. Or we can have sort of like a, alternatively, we could have a theme that, is more like an updated Next theme, if you know what I mean. Something that where we could imagine what Next might have looked like had they survived. I mean, something better than what we've got, is what we've got looks like Next Step. And while I personally don't like that, don't mind it, because of the fact that I love my Next machine. I still have one. Not everybody's going to be that way. So yeah, you're right. Absolutely, 100%.
So I think you phrased that perfectly. And don't get me wrong here. I'm myself a huge retro computing fan. I totally get that there are people who like Next and want Next, and this is the origin of the project, and that's fine. My only point is, and I fell into that trap myself, actually, already. I visited FOSDEM in, must have been 2004, 2005, something like that, and saw GNUstep back then, and was told that this is an open source implementation of essentially macOS 10 frameworks. And I looked at it for 3 seconds and was like, yeah, but that looks like it is stuck 10 years in the past at least. So first impressions matter. That is what I'm saying. So if anything, I would say there should be a different default, at least when creating self-standing bundles that you ship to various Linux distributions. And of course, the Windows theme should be the default if you ship to Windows. I'm not saying that the Next theme should go away, not at all. I'm just thinking that making it not the default anymore would really benefit the project to be seen at what it actually is, because it has new modern APIs and stuff, but all of that is kind of hidden behind an interface that makes a first impression as if it was stuck in the 90s.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And yeah, I agree. You're absolutely right, 100%. Because yeah. I mean, it's perception and first impressions absolutely do matter, 100%. Yeah.
So if you like, you could use the O theme, O like water, like aqua. I'm not saying you necessarily should. Maybe we should go for a more generic, bland theme. I think Pico Pixel, at least at times, was shipping a kind of a generic looking theme, but still with the scroll bars on the right-hand side and the menus horizontal. Possibly that theme. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name, but possibly that might be an option, or maybe something new could be created as a standard default theme. On a similar note, the mini windows are something that are probably dear to the heart of longtime Next users, but are completely alien on commonly used modern desktops. So I would propose, and I haven't sent a pull request yet because I wanted to discuss this first, but what I would like to propose is to make NS Mini Windows opt-in rather than opt-out. I understand that it is needed and wanted for certain user experiences, but again, like with the item before, I think it shouldn't be the default anymore.
Oh no, I agree, definitely. I mean, one of the things that I was going to mention is that one of the really nice things about themes, by the way, is that not only is it possible to set things in, like images and stuff like that, it's also possible to set defaults. You can make a universal default if you're using a particular theme to turn off certain things. So yeah, I mean, I think, in fact, there are some themes that turn mini windows off. So you definitely wouldn't necessarily need a code patch for it, I don't think.
Well, we have been doing that in Gershwin. We have turned it off. What happens actually is they get hidden. They get not mapped, so not shown on the screen. But if you inspect with X tools, they still exist.
It says they're still there. They're just not on the
so
screen.
What I've made here is a patch really that avoids their creation in the first place. And it's not a big patch. I just wanted to discuss this before I submit it to see whether it is a direction that would be even welcome.
Fred might have a word in this.
Hmm?
Fred might have a word in this.
Yeah, I think Fred is the best person to ask. I personally think it's fine, but Fred is, of course, the GUI maintainer. So, I mean, ultimately, if I said do it, he probably would. But I don't want to force him to do it. I would rather ask first, and then if he says no, then we can have a discussion. But yeah, you know what I mean.
Sure.
But yeah, definitely. I think it's a good idea.
Maybe you bring it up on the list. Maybe you bring it up on the list on GNUstep Dev or GNUstep Discuss. I don't know which is better for this.
So myself, I'm not a huge mailing list user, but I will likely send a pull request, and I'm more than happy if someone picks it up and discusses it on the list then.
I think I think the pull request is the best way to go, because anytime we're discussing code changes, it's better to actually see the actual code changes rather than discuss it in concept. So to see the actual code changes that you're going to make is much more useful. So what I would do is I would just simply submit the pull request, and and we can have the discussion in the pull request to see how things hash out. So yeah, I think that
All right.
go ahead.
Let's do that then. Okay, good.
Sweet.
Yeah. The next point we already discussed, the text representation for GORM files, so I will skip that. I stumbled on this documentation and wasn't quite sure whether I should even be looking at this still, because it talks about stuff like Savannah, which I think leads to nowhere, if I'm not mistaken, right?
What is this?
Is that still even valid, or should it be deleted or marked as deprecated?
GNUstep website is this.
Hold on, this is GNUstep.org/resources documentation, GNUstep fact. How do I update the task list? Oh yeah. Yeah, this is, I didn't even know this actual page existed. So what I did was I made it so that that everything is pretty much driven by GitHub now. So yeah, the reason is because obviously, GNUstep maintainer at GNUstep.
I mean, it says it's updated June 22nd, so I'm not so sure. It seems not so ancient.
Oh, it's because this is part of the generated documentation, maybe. So maybe this is in our documentation directory. Yeah, this is part of the docs that are generated by when we do. Yeah.
So the question I had then, if I stumble upon, let's say, a broken link as I did, is there a way to edit this on GitHub or to send a pull request? And if so, maybe it would make sense to include on every generated page a button, or at least a link saying edit me on GitHub or something like that.
Yeah. There is a GNUstep-www page, but I'm not sure where to link it back to. In other words, for every page, we'd have to have a button that says edit me on GitHub. I mean, it's almost like a wiki.
There's at least the website in GitHub, but I don't know if this is the same website that's displayed there. The web sources should be in GitHub.
Yeah, they are. They're under.
I mean, probably I could just search for a string here. on GitHub and see whether it comes up.
Yeah, hold on. Look for, yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Wikis. It says it has one hit on a wiki.
Wikis.
See? Oh. Yeah, no. This is not right.
No.
At least parts of the website should be in this room.
Hold on. Let's see. I gotta figure out where this is.
In the chat. Huh?
That doesn't seem to work.
Why doesn't it work? I don't know. You see? I have it on my screen. Is it maybe
a private repo which only you can see?
No. There is a, hold on.
This is the URL I copied from the browser. And
if you look at what I'm sharing here, if I'm searching for that, it doesn't show me.
Okay. Oh, well, damn. Okay, yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong. It is a private repo. Actually, I'll give the
I can share my screen.
Yeah, it's right there. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah, it's private. See that icon in front of GNUstep?
Yeah, I see it. Why is it private?
Yeah, I'll give you one guess why.
Yeah, I know.
Really irks me. Sorry. So you can see this because you're a team member.
GNUstep developer, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's okay that it's private. I mean, it's private to the organization, and it's kind of our website, so but I'm tempted to change the visibility on it just without asking anybody.
I mean, it would allow people who run into typos, broken links, and so on to send pull requests.
You know what?
That's true.
Hold on.
So, do we have still some time to talk a bit about Gershwin? There are too many changes this time to cover everything, so we have to be a bit selective, and please hint me at what interests you, what doesn't interest you, so that I don't bore you.
Oh, geez, as much as you can. I want to hear everything. Geez, if we had time, because I have until like 1:30, so I mean, I'm fine hearing as much as you can fit between now and 1:30.
Let's try to squeeze in as much as possible. So a lot of small fixes and improvements, stability improvements, more reliable unmounting. The dock is more reliable. This one is an interesting one. No, that's not it. It will come. Yeah, these are all small things. Low disk space, monitor that warns if the disk space is below 3%. It checks every 2 minutes. Open with works with the right click. And by the way, this now also works with app images, which automatically get registered with the associated file formats and extensions. So app images work just like native .app bundles in this regard now. We have an audio file thumbnailer that uses AV Foundation. Then we improved a lot the spatial mode icon positioning that works now much more reliable with the .ds store metadata for full interoperability with the Mac, so that if you access, for example, a network share from Gershwin and the Mac, it should be fully interoperable.
Cool.
Yeah, these things are smaller things. What do we have here? Yeah, app images now are hooked into open with, and the full file extension and file type resolution. DMG disk images which use APFS are now also supported. It now tries to mount using the Fuse module for pre-APFS. And if that fails, it now uses APFS Fuse so that they get mounted in any case. Then one feature, if you let me show that in practice. If you take an application, let's take this one and put it to the trash, you get this question whether you want to also delete the auxiliary data like preferences, logs, caches, and application support and stuff like that. So by default, the preferences are not checked because the user might reinstall the app and want to keep the preferences, but all the stuff that gets regenerated like logs, caches, and application support is by default checked. Also, you can click on these items to see here at the bottom a description of what it actually is. And here, big thanks to Lars, who really improved this dialog a lot by his early feedback. Got a lot more user-friendly thanks to his feedback.
Oh, thank you.
If you then say yes, put it into the trash, then not only the application itself landed in the trash, but also the auxiliary stuff.
Oh, cool.
That the user has selected.
Oh, by the way, I made that repository public on my authority because I can do that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So the descriptions that this dialog shows, we are also using in the file manager, which is especially useful for browsing the typical Unix tree. So let's go here, for example, to /usr and then go to list view. And now I have here a column called description, which always explains what I'm seeing here. So for example, if I go to, let's say, what's not so easy, let's say, what are the typical ones? I never know. I think /var, for example, has interesting stuff. Let's go there. So for example, what is in var opt? I couldn't answer that. Yeah, but now it says variable data for software that is installed in /opt. So this is coming from a central plist file containing usually well-known Unix directories.
Good for learning Unix.
Indeed. So what's going on here? It wants to kill my workspace. Interesting. So let's go back.
If the workspace gets killed, it comes up automatically?
Since today, yes, at least it should, but seemingly it still has a bit of trouble here. The dock is not coming up properly. Hold on.
Wait, isn't that misnamed? It should be G workspace? I'm kidding.
No, actually, this is the exception of the rule that we upstream everything. For workspace, we really forked it hard because we are making so many changes that may or may not be in line with the original next-ish version that we really forked that and call it workspace.
Well, no, I mean, and that makes perfect sense because the Finder on the Mac diverged so much from the either the Finder that was on the Mac or the workspace that was on the next machine that it deserves to be a different app. So yeah, got you. I was making a dig at the refusal to to remove the G from the front by certain members, or anyway.
So something funny is going on. I seem to have destroyed my session. Yeah, that's what happens if you use a development machine for demonstration.
Yeah, I mean, it is called beta software for a reason, right? So
I guess I will be back in a second.
Okay.
I can show you now the new logout feature, which has moved to the command menu and is no longer in workspace.
Cool.
And also doesn't work. Oh man. Yeah, I made changes in this area today, so no wonder.
We didn't bring enough offerings for the demo gods.
Right.
I mean, apparently I didn't either, because remember we had a little bit of technical difficulty at the beginning.
Could it be possible that there are several other repositories that are not public? Because when I try to build with the GNUstep checkout all script, or what it's named, I get some error messages. I made a issue on GitHub on this.
I'll look into it. It is possible that, I don't know. I mean, you are part of the organization, I think. I'll make sure that you have access to all the repositories. So it depends on whether you're using the developer version or the HTTPS version, because of the fact that if you're using the HTTPS version, it may not allow you to check out everything.
It was the HTTPS version. It was the one where you had to send your keys first. So it's just.
Oh yeah. Okay.
SSH or what? I don't know.
All right. I'll take a look.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry for that. Yeah, I made a change in the whole session management today, and that is not working smoothly yet. So I think I showed very quickly last time the Whisper application. This is a... Did I show that already or didn't I? I'm not so sure. This is
No, you didn't.
To text. So essentially, if
I shared a screenshot somewhere.
Sorry?
You shared a screenshot of it.
Oh yeah, you didn't show us you showed us the screenshot, but you didn't show us it actually working, I don't think.
Okay. Yeah, so the Whisper application is using a LLM that is running, or a model, a speech recognition model that is running locally on the machine, so nothing goes to the cloud. You can download these models here. There are a tiny one with just 74 megabytes. Usually I'm using the base model. You see the sizes are not that big actually. And even the base model really gives me good quality for text recognition, speech recognition. Unfortunately, I can't demonstrate it right now because this system is running on ALSA, and seemingly only one application can access the microphone at a time.
Okay.
Special tricks. But if I would press record here, you would hear a ping, and then you can talk, and the text will appear either here in this text field, or if you click into some other text field, the text goes directly there, and it is also updated and corrected as you go.
Very nice.
Very, very nice. Cool. I mean, one of the things I was going to mention is NS Speech Recognizer is implemented, but unfortunately the version of NS Speech Recognizer that exists in Mac on the Mac only recognizes certain words that you tell it to recognize, which I think is just weird. Yeah.
I wasn't even aware that this was a thing, to be honest. Maybe we could hook the speech, the Whisper models into the NS speech recognizer, potentially.
Yeah, it uses Pocket Sphinx, and I think it's using an outdated version of it. I have to update it. So yeah, that would be good if we can talk about that. And I'm not sure why it's not in the documentation, but yeah, it should be, but it's not.
So whisper.cpp is what I'm using for the Whisper app.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Then we have a little build monitor here. Oh, by the way, I think we briefly covered the extra menu items last time, if I'm not mistaken. So there are now extra menus for time and date, volume, WLANs, battery status, brightness, RAM, and CPU, and also something called the build monitor, which watches GitHub repositories. And if they build green, you get this check mark. And if they don't, you get an exclamation mark. So here in Gershwin Developer, something is broken at the moment, and hence we get the exclamation mark also here in the menu bar. Of course, this is fully configurable, which repos you would like to watch.
Ah, cool. Yeah, those are NS status items, basically. So yeah, very cool. Very, very cool.
Then make Gorm. Yeah, make Gorm was my attempt to make Gorm into text files. I spent some time on it, but it didn't work out. So it is left. System emulator. System emulator is a application that allows you to import and run UTM files coming from the Mac. UTM is a emulator popular on the Mac that saves its settings as UTM bundles. Under the hood, it's running QEMU, which is also available on Linux and BSD. So the idea is here that you import these and then can run them. So for example, here I have a Sun Solaris one that I downloaded from the UTM website. And it even says you have to type boot disk 0 at the BIOS. So we need to remember that.
Oh, sweet.
Boot disk 0.
Okay, you have to tell me whether this works or not, because I've tried to get this to work on the Mac and it never does.
Let's see whether it works. I hope it does.
With new Solaris, not bad.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it does. Damn.
Press Ctrl D.
Okay, no, I mean, mine doesn't even get to this point. Mine sits there right after it says configuring interfaces. It says something like loopback interface failed, and it just keeps on going over and over and over again. And I don't know why it does that.
So right now it seems not to be booting, but in an earlier test it booted all the way into the desktop. Probably I shut it down unclean, and hence it now wants to run fsuck.
Yeah, now it wants to run file system check.
Probably. Yeah, but in general it works. So I can also, of course, run the various Linuxes and even ReactOS.
You know, I'm going to tell you something. It's very weird because that little alert sound that comes up. That's a sound that I created. I created a lot of the alert sounds for GNUstep. So it's weird hearing it used as actually used.
So you made the sounds? Awesome.
Yeah, I did.
They really capture the spirit very well, I think.
I had to get close to the spirit of the sounds, but not actually using the sounds.
Exactly.
And it was funny because the Sosumi sound is actually something on the Mac that I really couldn't imitate. So I just have it go do like that. You probably have heard that.
Right.
And I've always loved that sound because it's kind of funny. But yeah, anyway.
So you're certainly aware of the story behind Sosumi.
Yeah, yes. They did it because of they did it because
a fun story, indeed.
Apple Records sued them, and they were like, and they weren't allowed to create even a sound system for the Mac. And so when they did, they created that as a sort of a middle finger to
Right.
to the Beatles.
Right.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
funny.
Then the next thing we have is a color pref pane, which is for monitor calibration. So you can select a profile here for your screen, and there is also an assistant that allows you to create your own profiles.
Oh, cool.
So this is the assistant. And here you can change the gamma, which I won't do right now because it then messes up everything here on screen. But you know how this works. You can select the gamma, and on the next screen you can select
the white point.
Probably you're not seeing anything of that, right? Or do you?
Yeah, no, we don't see anything.
Okay. Is that this also me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. Yeah, mouse pref pane a bit improved. Sharing is a bit improved. It looks now a bit different with tabs. Here you can see if you enable a service under which local domain it is reachable and so on. You can change the device name.
Hey, Fred is here.
Hey, Fred.
Hey, Fred.
Hi.
We can't hear you.
I can hear him. He said, "How are you?"
I just said hi, not how are you. But yes, so you hear me.
Now I hear you.
Okay, that's great.
Hey, welcome. So yeah, one thing we added to the display pref pane is a setting for the scale factor, aka GS scale factor, which you can change here, and then at least the menu and the window decorations update instantly. And I have also a pull request that is not merged yet to do the same live updating also for the workspace itself. There is also work in progress to make the resolution switching work more reliably.
Yeah, we have to get together to figure out what's going on in my system.
Yeah, I have some hypotheses and have also made some changes in the meantime, but I think it's not completely resolved yet, but we are on the way of getting it.
Can we do this on Debian, or do I need to set Dev1?
Well, I haven't tried it on Debian lately, but I think it doesn't make a big difference between the two.
Because I don't get Dev1 installed properly. Somehow the boot sequence doesn't work. I tried several stuff and also command line commands to make it work, but then it said it couldn't write EFI variables inside the UTM QEMU machine, so it didn't work in the end.
Yeah, so what I would recommend here is the live ISOs like Gershwin on Dev1 and those. I will ping you when we have new ones to be tested. Right now we don't, but we will.
Okay, as soon as you have them, let me know in the chat.
Let's do that, yeah. Then the O theme now correctly respects the scaling that I just showed. Text edit has undo and redo.
I've checked that your text edit is a very ancient version of it. Aren't there any newer versions available? It should be still freely available.
There are newer ones from Apple, and I got one to even compile, but not to work properly yet. So it would probably be just a bit of time that needs to be invested to make it work properly. But I'm not even sure we want all of these features, like it's now automatically saving without you pressing save, which drives me nuts all the time. So it's really
the ruler and the RTF mode wasn't there.
The RTF mode, I think it's already in the one we are using.
But the ruler wasn't visible. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I can show you something.
So text edit definitely we could switch to a newer version, but it would be some work which no one has done so far, indeed. Window Manager, yeah, Window Manager is our, as the name implies, Window Manager. We're making that more stable and fix bugs here, but nothing too exciting, except for one feature that I'm really proud of, which is the integration between the Window Manager and the File Manager, so Workspace, to make this happen. I hope you can see this.
Oh, you mean the shrink and the genie effect?
Can you? So they are opening from and closing back to the folder icon.
That's nice.
So that you always see what you're opening, where it's coming from and where it's going to, so that windows don't appear just out of nowhere, but you really have more information visually to see what you're opening and closing.
Oh, that's very nice.
That looks like a little thing, but it requires interaction between the window manager and the file manager, of course. So what we're doing here is we're setting a custom window property called the birth coordinates. Let me see. Oh, why is it not found? I don't know why it's not found right now, but yeah, so what happens is that Workspace sets certain X atoms on the window, which then the window manager uses to know where to animate from and to. For opening, it's relatively easy because the item that's being double-clicked knows its location. For actually closing the window, it's a bit more convoluted because you need to find out where to animate that to. Because if I double-click this here, and then in the meantime I have moved the folder there, if I now close the window, where should it animate back? It shouldn't go back to the empty space. It should go back to the new location of the icon, which it does.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Does it work for files too?
For files, it doesn't work yet. No.
I was going to tease you earlier, Pro Bono. I was going to say, and everybody here, since most people here speak German, I was going to say I understand just enough German to know that nicht gefunden, I'm probably bouncing up that pronunciation, means not found.
Exactly.
Nicht gefunden, yes, exactly. So let's go back here. Yeah, I'm going over the smaller stuff here. Did I show this already? We have this nice little progress thing. What's going on today? Something is not working smooth. Ah, here we go.
Ah, no.
Progress.
Didn't even know you had the search thing.
So here we have this is just a test application with a progress bar. And as you can see here in the dock, you see the progress also now in the dock.
Very nice.
And that happens, by the way, automatically, so you don't even have to touch your application. As soon as there is a progress bar shown on the screen anywhere, it also shows it on the icon.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
How did you do it with the app icon? Are you relying on the fix that Talion or Todd has put in so that if you have a self-drawing image or image representation, then this is enough to display it? So if you have an app icon where you have a drawing function behind it, it should already work out of the box now.
I wasn't aware of that.
Just want to understand if you're building on top of that.
No, actually that is a completely independent development. I wasn't even aware of what you were mentioning. I definitely need to check that out. So how it works is distributed objects. It sends
so it's
theme that draws the progress bar, sends a distributed object notification to the dock.
So Fred, that the change that Thalion made, was that in NS dock icon?
No, it's in NS image, actually.
Okay.
It's more fundamental a change. So the problem was not with NS Docker or Docker image or anything. All these worked, but the underlying image never changed.
Okay,
So
I've
it's
got
now
you.
the image representation that gets updated, because when we draw an image, we don't take the actual original representation, but we create a cache for it to speed up drawing. But for image representations that by themselves change without notifying the outside world, so any cache will be outdated immediately. So he removed the cache for these specific cases.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Cool, very cool. Okay.
So related to that is badges with numbers. So we can now have those on icons as well with the same mechanism.
I think we have a mechanism for that already somewhere.
We do.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, I think Ricardo is using it for its mail application. You should talk to him.
Yeah, that is also
research here.
that is integrated into NS Doc icon, and that's why I asked the question earlier, because that's part of that too.
Do you happen to know how it's called?
Yeah, I mean, every app has its own associated NS Doc icon, and so it's part of the app. You don't even have to step outside of the app in order to have that happen. You just update the image or update the badge on the NS Doc tile. Sorry. Yeah, you update something in the doc tile. Yeah, badge label. Correct. That's right. And it shows on the it shows on the thing. So yeah, I mean, it might actually simplify your approach a little bit to use that, because the fact that we're not relying on the notification to do it. But then again, I mean, your doc is a separate application.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I'm not sure offhand without looking at it. And just to catch you up to speed, Fred, I'm not going to go back and demonstrate this, but I made some fixes to Project Center to add rulers to show you like the position, like characters down and characters left, characters over. And I also made some tab changes because the tab sets were not being set correctly. And I fixed some problems that were existent in the debugger because of the fact that we were using older syntax that was associated with the machine interface that how debuggers communicate with GDB. And I made some fixes to Gorm, and I showed them an updated version of ScoreMaker. So yeah, just letting you know what I had shown them.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries.
So if we're already breaking the demonstration, just have limited time to participate in the call, as every Saturday when the call takes place. Sorry about that. But as far as I see, Greg, you and me are the only core maintainers participating, so it's probably not a good place to discuss an upcoming GNUstep release, because I would like to discuss that, but without maintainers here, so nobody will take over the work that will be needed to do. So
I think we need to have either a separate call or even just a mailing list. Sorry, an email that's shared between all of us to coordinate. You're right. Yeah, so I'll send out an email after we end this, about the release, and see what everybody has to say about what I'll just leave it generic.
We haven't had a release in 1.5 years, so we should have a release. The question is just when. So when will be a good time to have as much of those current changes in as possible, but also have them tested already?
Yeah.
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 I'm really myself not really sure when should that happen, because it will put us, as soon as we set a date, put us under some pressure to get the work done till then.
Yeah, I was going to say critical to determining when that release date is we have to figure out the number. I mean, because we have to take into account, as I think you just kind of alluded to it, the amount of changes that have happened and then the testing time. So you're right. Yeah. Understood.
Yes. And also we need to decide what to do with all the currently unreviewed changes.
Yeah, agreed.
So I think for GUI and Beck, I might be able to get the rest reviewed in this month, so a little bit more. But what about core base? Nobody has looked at the changes there, and
I was digging into them
core
today, just so you know. If you need any of my input on anything in GUI, please let me know, because there's just so many PRs. I'm not sure which ones to look at, Fred.
There aren't that many anymore. I handled 400 of them.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
It would be great if you could look at all those in core base and best also on Quartz core.
Okay, I'll do that.
I hope I will be able to handle those on Opal as well. There are not that many anymore, about 20 or 30. But for the other libraries, I don't even know.
Fred, you are a hero for reviewing all those changes.
God, there were so many.
Oh, Richard probably did as much as I did. I don't know. I didn't count his. Sorry. I don't want to appear as a hero here. Sorry. It was just...
I tried to review a few of them, but the sheer volume of the ones that just came in but yeah, great job, you guys. 100%.
Still nice that we get those fixes. I would welcome RT, what's DTV Italian here in the meeting.
Italian.
DTW.
Yeah, since there was a discussion last time whether these things solve real issues or not, I can really say at least some of them really do solve real issues that really make a difference. So thank you for reviewing them and for being open to these patches.
Oh, talking about merge requests, did you and Richard reach an agreement what to do with all those screen issues? So, you see, I'm not running a multi-monitor environment, and the last time I tried to implement something there, it just turned out that the notion that X has about screens and monitors and areas don't properly fit into what Apple or OpenStep was doing. It was more Apple, because OpenStep, there wasn't that much in that area. So whatever we decide will be a horrible compromise, which won't fit most use cases, but only a few. So there's no good solution. We have to decide which bad solution we are going to take. I don't have a real opinion there. Not having a multi-monitor environment and not switching monitors that often. What I do is having workspaces on the same monitor, and we don't have a proper concept for that.
Yeah, I haven't. I mean, were you talking to me? Because I'm not sure. I haven't really talked to Richard about that.
No, pro bono. He
okay,
has a patch for that, and had a discussion with Richard.
Oh, excellent. Okay, I thought I was
that
having a stroke there for a minute. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay.
That patch mainly concerns the placement on screen of newly created windows, because the menu that you are seeing on my screen right now at the top is its own application. And that menu is, of course, a window that always wants to be at the very top of the screen. And there I ran into an issue where that just didn't work reliably. And for that, I submitted a pull request. The multi-monitor aspect, I didn't have so much on my radar screen yet. So maybe I need to look into that aspect a bit deeper. But what I can say is that the patch resolves the issue that I originally encountered. Now, I'm not, of course, so deep in all the side effects it might possibly have. So I'm really a bit dependent on all of your input on that.
Yeah, the thing is, in your specific setup, your solution is better. But when Richard implemented the current solution we have in there, it was better for his environment. And the code that was in place before that was well suited for my environment. So why would I care for any other? And so whenever we change things, we break other environments.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have to decide what is the most important environment that we want to support.
So in general, I am always trying to follow the spirit of what X11 intends and what GNUstep intends. Where it becomes difficult is when they don't agree.
Yeah. Yeah. But what sounds sensible to me would be that we have NScreen report its full screen, whatever that is. It depends on many things in a multi-monitor environment. And the visual area being the one, the visible area being the one that gets reduced by whatever doc and things are known to the window manager. So I think this is something you discussed, which seemed to be a compromise between the two of you, and that would be fine. So if somebody implements that, I would say go for it.
So the way I think about this, but I have only half knowledge about this whole topic, is that the workspace area in X should show the whole screen area, so the physical screen. And then X has this concept of, what is it called? Struts, where you say where the dock is, I don't want other windows to be placed. That should be a protected area. So for example, if I maximize this window here, you see it doesn't go all the way up and all the way over the dock, because these are excluded areas where other windows should not be, or normal windows should not be placed. So I think that should be the concept if you want to reserve areas where you don't want regular windows to go. This concept of X11 struts should be applied.
And how would you make that back into NScreen? That's what we actually have to figure out.
Yeah,
so X is doing its job, but how are we presenting this to a GNUstep application?
Yeah, and that I'll be honest with you, Fred. This is something when if you remember, actually, in 2000 or at least 2000, I think, NScreen was one of my first contributions to GNUstep. This is actually one of the things that I thought about way back then, is how do we handle multiple screens? And it was I have no clue. I had no clue back then. I really haven't thought about it since. I don't know. That's a really good question.
So DTW Thalion also made a patch, number 226, which didn't receive any comments so far.
Yeah. So maybe you could look into that, as you're already interested in this aspect.
I can definitely look into whether that fixes my issue, but since I cannot fully reproduce all the possible other issues and considerations, just me alone looking into this won't be terribly helpful, I fear.
The problem is that nobody can reproduce all the possible scenarios. So I only go by the solution when the less people complain.
I see. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Sure. That's the best we can achieve in such a situation, because so what maybe he actually fixes one or two real bugs in the code, which would be really helpful, because nobody will complain about fixes, hopefully. But the other aspects are up to discussion, so maybe he just has a partial solution, I don't know.
I will have a look at whether this fixes what I can reproduce. I will try my best to also experiment a bit with dual screen, but the more eyes we can have on this, the better. Okay, cool. Yeah, should I proceed with the the rest of
I will drop out in the next 5 minutes and
it's not terribly much anymore. I will also speed up. So menu bar, yeah, I've shown these mini icons here. Sound and networking we skip for now. Login window reads the language and keyboard layout from EFI variables that the Mac sets. So if you set your Mac to German and then boot a live ISO of Gershwin, it knows your language and layout. You can also change it in the login window, but it's preset. Same for Raspberry Pi keyboards, which also report their language. We are reading that. Then we have worked on a integration with the native package managers, so Debian and FreeBSD PKGs and so on. So you can now double-click those and they will install. Also, the installer log window was a bit improved and so on. And this on-demand package manager integration is, of course, also helpful if parts of the desktop require additional packages for less commonly used features, where we don't want to ship a large dependency out of the box, but only when it's needed. I think the Mac does the same thing for some of the developer stuff with Xcode, where it says, now I need to download this and that so that you have the full feature set. And that's the idea behind integrating the package manager. Also, one idea I have, but this is not implemented yet, is that if you drag a file that has been installed by the package manager to the trash, it says, well, this file is under control of the package manager. Do you want to deinstall this and that package? The build application, I think I had shown this quickly last time. Something is going on today here with the menu. Joys of demonstrating a system on which development happens. Yeah, this build application, we're constantly expanding the catalog of available applications here, and the idea is that you can just go in here and then double click on something and it will compile and offer to install. So for example, the world clock. Let's take this one, double click, and now it's downloading from Git and is compiling and has built and is now asking whether it should install and start, and if everything works, the clock will run. FreeBSD installer was improved. The live ISOs are now using Ex Libre and are now all built out of one repository, which is actually quite cool. The way we built those live ISOs has been consolidated into one repository that can trigger all the builds at once for Gershwin on Debian, Gershwin on Devuan, Gershwin on FreeBSD, Gershwin on NextBSD, and more. I've mentioned app image integration. So the make services command and related infrastructure now registers app images just as it does register app bundles. So they are fully integrated first-class citizens. Now comes a big thing, and I think from the whole month, this is the largest change and something I think will really be beneficial a lot in the future. This is still very, very new, UI testing. For UI testing, the idea is to have UI test scripts that live alongside the code in each of the repositories. So for example, if I go to developer, library, sources, and now let's use Gershwin. What do we use? Let's say window manager. There is a subdirectory test. No. Where is it actually? It's called, hold on. Where is it? Is it called tests? Tests, yeah, tests it's called. So as you can see, many of the projects have a directory called tests, and let's just take a very simple, or let's actually go for the, where is my workspace? Don't we have tests in workspace yet? This is still very, very new. So the workspace tests didn't end up in workspace yet. Anyway, let's use something else, stickies, whatever, let's go there. So what we have is a very, very simple text file that says launch the application stickies, wait until Windows sticky notes, timeout 15 seconds, then check that the window actually has the title sticky note, and then check that some menu items are present, and then press Command Quit, and wait until the application actually exited cleanly, and then put a log. So this is a very simple test, but they can also be more complicated than that, of course. And the idea is to run those tests not only on the local machine, but also as part of the CI, so that whenever we build something, then also these tests run, and the CI fails if the tests fail. And right now, this is already live since today. I think we have 25 or so tests live at the moment, and 1 or 2 are failing at the moment on the CI, and I'm investigating what's going on there. I can say while developing this and while having worked on this, it has already helped a tremendous lot to get stuff working properly, because we all know that you develop one aspect and then another aspect breaks. It's always 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. And having this test infrastructure, I've already now noticed, is helping me a tremendous lot. So this is something I think will really accelerate the development and also improve the quality going forward a lot. It seems like it's a small thing, but for me, it is the most important change this month, to be honest.
Hey, Pro Bono, Fred has his hand up.
Oh yeah, Fred.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the syntax Gherkin?
I haven't.
Okay, so it's an established syntax for exactly that form of high-level end-to-end tests as you are proposing. So you should look into it. Or it's complicated to write GH with an HGH. If you look for Cucumber, it's a lot easier. Cucumber is an implementation of that, and from there you can get to Gherkin.
Is it like that? Gherkin, Gherkin.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Which is just another name for
Gürkchen.
cucumber.
For a pickle.
Yep.
Here we are.
Oh, you're a bot?
I'm not a bot.
Sure.
Okay, Gherkin.
There we
okay.
go.
Yeah, you can't spell it. It's too complicated, but it's exactly the same as yours. It's just one or two words before, given, when, then. So it's the normal testing syntax around, and the rest is also free text, just like yours. And it's just an established version, a language exactly for this. And of course, there are different interpreters which already work on top of that syntax. But in your specific case, you probably will have to write something which would be able to do that. You have already written something, but establish your own. It's very, very simple. So
I will definitely
it makes it a
this.
lot more readable and recognizable for other people. But it's basically a solution for exactly the problem you're trying to address yourself. And why not take what they have built already?
Excellent. Thanks for the pointer. I wasn't aware of this. I will definitely have a look.
There are a lot of different libraries implementing that for different languages. One of them being Cypress, which is also yeah. Cypress is in JavaScript language, but you can use it for a lot of different application sorts. So now I don't think there's already something in place. It would be too nice. Perhaps. No connection. I'm not sure what Test Plant is using for their tests.
I can answer that. They're using oh god, I forget what they call it, but it's a proprietary language that was dreamt up by.
Why did they? But if they would donate a few licenses from their application, we could use that for GNUstep tests. But if this is a proprietarian testing framework, testing language, then it's also not that good. Well, we should stick with standards.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it started out as its own language. It's called SenseTalk, and the guy who wrote it licensed it to them and currently works for them. And we were actually looking to replace it. And Gherkin was one of the things that we're thinking of replacing it with when I worked there. So yeah, this is
everybody's using Gherkin, so yes, why not go for it? And you still have to do most of the work yourself, so it's not helping you a lot, but you're on the same ground as everybody else, and this makes it makes it easier if you switch from one implementation to another, because you have already the same feature files which define your test case, and you just need to implement something that handles those features.
Oh, no doubt about that.
So
I will definitely look into this. My only question would be is how large is that language, and would I have to implement a whole lot of stuff that I don't actually know?
No, the language consists only of given, when, then, and end. So end should also be capitalized, because after a given, the next statement that is also a given would start with end. And that's the whole syntax.
So basically, what you would have to do is write back end that would hand sort of the parser would hand those things off to something that would handle
Right.
do the testing for GNUstep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could use your current parser and make it ignore the first word of each. So of each line.
Oh wow. Okay.
Then it would be the same as yours. Sorry, I have to drop out now. Already a bit late. Nice talking to you and nice seeing all the progress. Bye.
All right, Fred.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Take care. Nice seeing you.
So yeah, I will definitely have a look at that. As you can see here, this custom language is very, very simple. Run this, wait until that, assert this, activate that, log this. Yeah, it's really intentionally very, very simple. And if Gherkin is not adding a lot of overhead, then definitely that would be something to.
Oh yeah, nice. I mean, hey, what you've done looks wonderful, but I mean, yeah, I mean, if you could do something that incorporates Gherkin, that would actually be really cool too.
We could use this in GNUstep also.
Yeah,
So
I mean that's actually
look
something that yeah, that's actually something that when I was working for Test Plant, like I said, sorry, not Test Plant, what do you call it? Test Plant / Keysight. Thought about using that to replace SenseTalk, like I said. And one of the things that I thought while I was working on that was about doing the same thing, about creating a front end for Gherkin, because I had heard of it before. So I actually forgot about it until Fred brought it up. But yeah, cool, very cool.
Okay, so that is basically it. I will share here the full changelog in case you're interested in define print as well, but I think we have covered the major stuff.
Yep. Well, all right, guys, I have something I have to do at 2 o'clock, so I probably need to go ahead and drop. But yeah, it's been very, very informative, and it was nice to meet you, BuzzD. Hopefully you can get back to me with any feedback that you have with respect to the music application. And
I need to find some time to actually test it, but yeah, I put it on my to-do list, definitely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Pro Bono, it was nice seeing what you had to update, and Lars, awesome seeing you as well. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna end the recording here. Let me see. Okay. Wait, did I start the recording? Oh yeah, the meeting is being recorded. Okay. I did. Yeah, apparently I have to drop off in order to stop it. But yeah, okay. So anyway, guys, it was really great seeing all of you, and so I'll go ahead and exit. But I guess I'll see you guys next time, and hopefully I'll talk to you guys sometime between now and then. But,
all right, thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day or evening.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.